Welcome to the iBook podcast. I'm April O'Leary, and this is the YouTube version of our podcast. To get the audio version, you can hop on over to Spotify or anywhere that you consume audio podcasts. We are going to jump into some really cool content, so stay tuned for our next guest. We look forward to connecting with you, and be sure to subscribe. And to start your author adventure, hop on over to o'learypublishing.com, where you can map out the entire process and see what writing a book would look like for you. Let's get started. Welcome back to the iBook podcast. I'm April O'Leary, and I'm excited today. I have Pierre Jeanty on, who is a poet. And not only that, he is an exceptional digital marketer. I've known him for a number of years now. We spoke at a conference together, not on the same stage at the same time, but we crossed paths in Orlando. We actually both live in Southwest Florida, coincidentally. And I had the chance to work with him earlier this year on some really cool digital marketing projects for authors. So welcome to the show, Pierre.
Thank you for having me. I am excited, and I think you're the perfect person to have any conversation about book marketing, book business building. So thank you for having me again.
You're welcome. I am so thrilled because I think that as an author, I started off as a nonfiction author in 2012. I had no idea at that point in time that I would start O'Leary Publishing, almost 8 years after that point. Or is it 7 years? Anyways, doesn't matter. But the point is that writing and marketing are two different hats to wear. And I find that a lot of authors that we work with, they have a great time writing their book. It's fun to do the cover and see the layout and get the website done or the branding done. And then their book launch, of course, your whole warm market is excited for you. And then it's like, now what?
Yep.
So when you first started writing, were you already pretty well versed in marketing in general, or were you like that struggling author who didn't know much about marketing?
I had some form of knowledge because before I wrote my book, I was actually like a social media nerd per se. So I got into MySpace early. I got into Black Planet early. I got into a lot of these websites early. I've been on Facebook since 2005. Like this is quite a bit of time that I kind of adjusted, especially with Twitter. I adapted early, so I always got kind of the beginning wave reward per se. I used to trend on Twitter's front page. Facebook, I've seen everything develop, or especially from the marketing side. And Instagram, I was like early 2009, I was on Instagram. So being early, not only the reward came from being early, but I decided to turn something into it, which is using my influence to build a business, which is how I started writing. So by the time I wrote my first book, I had a lot of followers online that I was able to launch. But then I ran into, hey, you have the influence not gonna automatically continue to pay bills and sell your books. You need to find out how to market it. Well, the idea was I already know how to create content for the masses. So the idea is just if I learn the technical side of the marketing, then it'll be easy, which is what have happened over the years. So I've always been someone who understands this. And when I talk, I say I'm a marketer first, but a lot of it was all of it coming together.
Yeah. Well, I'm laughing to myself here because you used the word easy. And I wouldn't say, having been in your accelerator, we have done work together.
Oh, yeah.
Alex helped me, coach me through building a Shopify store. I really am so hungry to learn marketing, not only for my own purposes, because I'm sort of a nerd like that too. I'm a little older than you, so I wasn't necessarily focused on social media as early as you were, because I was changing diapers at that time. But but I will say that I didn't find it easy. However, having someone who does find it easy to coach you through it made it easier. Is that
Oh,
fair?
yes. Oh yes, that is definitely fair. And we understand that was a big realization for me the last year when I started to tell authors that like, hey, you want to have a control of your book business. This is what you do, and we realized through teaching and also doing it for other people that it's not as easy. I see it as easy. So kind of it is we've been more along the lines of, hey, let's let authors, we could help you build your book business. If you just hand it to us, we could do everything for you because that's the easy part for us.
I love it. I love it. And you know, it's something that I will say took me a while to embrace, going back to me publishing my first book. That was easy for me. Writing has always
Mhm.
been easy for me. Sourcing talent online has always been easy for me. Figuring out the technical aspects of projects has always been easy. So by the time in 2018 that I had some friends asking me to help them publish, I thought, well, that's easy. Like, how do you not know how to do that?
Yeah.
Right. So it's sort of like the business and doing something that comes easy. It's really powerful to realize that just because it's easy for you doesn't mean it's easy for others, and that there's an opportunity to help people with things that come easy to yourself. So I don't know, I just found that really interesting. And we encourage our authors that, you know, the struggles they've been through or things that they're writing about that seem easy to them now, there are people in those spaces who are struggling that can benefit from their message. So it's kind of the same.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, it's always going to be like that. And also, too, there's people who aren't interested in certain things. Like, for instance, Patty, which is a good friend of ours. Patty's the president of almost two of my companies. She runs most of those things because it's not that it can be hard for me. It's not I can't figure it out, but one of the things too is I've learned to highlight your strong points and work on them. So what happened is we don't necessarily like you could have figured out the marketing, but you're not necessarily interested. And when you're not as interested, it become overwhelming, which is what a lot of people come to when it comes to the marketing, which is it was the same thing with your store because it was like you feel like there's always another piece. Versus for me, it's like oh another bit of block. To you, it's like oh my god, another piece I have to fit to this puzzle.
I have I have to just say as a side note that working with Alex is such a joy because he has always got a positive attitude. He's always like, "Oh, we're going to figure this out. Oh, they changed their algorithm. Everything's going to hell in a handbasket, but we're going to figure it out and we're going to pivot." And so I've never seen you like, "Oh my God, this is unfixable. What's going on?" You know? And to me, working with a marketer, because there is this certain feeling of uncertainty, like especially if you don't quite understand it,
Hmm.
that you're putting money out there for something that's like, I don't know, to me, like I'm not a gambler. I've never like, you know, gone. I went to Las Vegas and stayed in a hotel that had a casino on the, you know, first floor, probably like every hotel in Las Vegas. And
Hmm.
I didn't even spend like one quarter. It's like, it doesn't even interest me at all.
Hmm.
You know, I'm like, why would I put it in there just to like watch it go down the toilet? And I think marketing, if you don't know what you're doing, can feel like that.
Oh
But
yes.
so let's talk a little bit about, first of all, book business, which I love that you talk about that, and talk a little bit about your book, the seven figure book business blueprint. Isn't that it?
That is correct.
Yes. So let's talk a little bit about that book and about thinking more in terms of a book business.
Okay, perfect. So, the seven-figure book business blueprint, I created it simply because we were going through a phase where in 2018 I had a lot of books returned, and I mentioned the story to you. It was that we finally finalized our first deal with Target, and there were a lot of books returned, and we had to figure out exactly what we need to do with the books. And for me, it's always take on the challenge rather than give up or go somewhere else. It was like, okay. I remember telling the company to just send me the 15,000 books I will return, and we're going to build something different. And that came to me building what we call the automated direct sales system, which is really having a book business where now I wasn't relying on the retailers, I wasn't relying on Amazon, I wasn't relying on wholesale. I was just like, I want to have full control of my business. So, which mean I have control from point A to point Z, whatever it could be. So it was that, hey, we market directly to our shop, not to anyone else. Once we get the sale, we take the email, we can communicate with our supporters, and with everything else, we have control. We create everything for ourselves. Everyone else do get a piece of the pie, but it's not a priority. So as I went on through this journey, I needed more people to be in the same space with, who understand the book world and see what I'm doing. So I started to share on a book in a group named 20 Books to 50K. And when I started sharing, a lot of people were amazed. I was just happy it's happening. And people were like, we want to learn this. So you're talking about 2019, this is where we fully launched. So 4 years later, the more I kept talking about it, the more people wanted to learn. But I'm not the type of person who really spent a lot of the time. Is I love explaining things, but I need you to have some form of foundation. Like I love when people have some kind of business ideas. They understand, they have some kind of business sense. So I decided, why don't I write a book that breaks down that entire process, funnel, what is its concept, how does it work, and everything to a T. So then after people finish, they find out whether they want to do this or not, or whether they want to do it themselves, or they want us to help. It just give them enough information for them to act. And part of that has been a journey of teaching that. And this book has been something that have opened a lot of people to the idea of that, hey, I don't have to rely on Amazon and retailer. How about I just find a way to do it myself, and so forth. But that is what it is. It's also training authors to see this as a business, because even if you are an expert, like say a doctor, a lawyer who just want to publish a book, most of the time you don't realize that the book can be a business itself, and it can bring potential client. And being that I've done so well at selling my books, I decided like this is something that just need to go out there, where authors don't necessarily have to go directly to service, which is not bad. I'm in a service-based business right now, but if we focus more on your first baby of getting that to a point where it's successful enough. So yeah, that's what the book is about.
Yeah, I love it. Well, and where can they get the book before we move on to something else? Because I'm not sure where that's the home base is for that book right now.
It is seven figure book business blueprint.com. No, seven figure book business.com/book. I always add the blueprint, but it's seven figure book business.com/book. And you'll get access to everything there.
Perfect. And I will put that in the show notes. But so I got that book. As I said, Alex and I met, a couple summers ago. I don't know, 3, maybe 4, I don't know. But
Mhm.
we had stayed connected. I've been watching what he's doing. I'm very impressed with it. I read the 7-figure book business blueprint. I'm in his Facebook group, which if you
Mhm.
want to join his Facebook group, you can see, one of the things too that I think is really excellent about what Alex does is he is transparent with what's working, what's not working, what the numbers are, if you're having a great day, if you're having a crappy day. And I think that for me, there's so many charlatans online that it's hard to believe people that are in marketing sometimes, because they make it seem like, look at me, I'm leaning on my Ferrari, and I, in 30 days, in 30 days, I made 6 figures. Like, what's wrong with you? You barely made, $600. And I've had that where I've just felt so beat up online, because you see all these people that are making grand promises, and then you feel like, well, what am I doing wrong? Why is it not working? Where I feel like one of the things you do so well in the Facebook group is share screenshots and exactly what's going on, and coach people through, even people that aren't necessarily working inside the accelerator. So let's talk a little bit about what that has been like, sort of getting into the transitions, sharing some of that knowledge, because I think that there's a fear that people have about sharing too much. Like,
Mhm.
want to necessarily share exactly what they're doing. And I think it's very unique that you do. So the Facebook group that people should go to is,
It's seven figure book business, and if you search it on Facebook, if you buy the book, it'll lead you right to the Facebook group.
you buy the
Um,
book, you get in the Facebook group. But so
yes.
the Facebook group is a must. If you're thinking about book marketing and you have a book and you're like, I don't really know what to do for marketing, join, get the book, get in the Facebook group, and then start listening and start reading the posts and the comments. So how did
Yes.
that group come about, and what do you feel like the goal is for that group, or some of the wins you've seen in that group?
So the idea is I genuinely created the book where people can get enough information to go and execute themselves. The idea is I only want to come in if you feel like you need the help. And I've watched other people who just read the book and just take it off from there, which I thought was exciting. And because there's a lot of sharks and a lot of other people online, is one of the reasons I stayed away from teaching people about selling books, because I've been selling books for 9 years and I've been successful at it. But it was like I needed to bring something to the table that makes so much sense and people can succeed in there, or not even quickly, but can succeed just in general. I needed to have that because part of my transparency is showing you that I'm in this with you. It's not me teaching you what I've learned over the last few years and that's it. It's me teaching you what I'm currently doing. And as someone who's doing it at a higher level, in some cases, and also doing it for other clients, that I can come back and pour into you where you succeed. Because none of this work if you're not succeeding. I've had points where even in my own agency where I took a loss, like, hey, I'm no longer staying sticking with this client because things aren't working with her. Where anytime I keep it as honest as possible, because I think when it comes to authors, a lot of authors have trouble making money to start with. And a lot of people come in and they try to prey on these authors. And even when I run ads for this, that's the first thing I get. I get a lot of people who doubt that this is real. And sometimes I sarcastically debate with them if they come from the wrong angle. But the people who are genuinely interested, I will respond to it. But I fight off the people who call it a scam because I'm trying to challenge authors to do the research, because a lot of authors would not be fooled by those people if they do the research. It's not more than the screenshot. What if this person is doing, in a sense, to make this more welcoming? Are they sharing all of the information? What's a secret behind the door? And when someone doesn't have like a secret behind the door, it's usually where they're telling the truth. Because I'm in groups like that where it's all sharing the information and it's only selling the implementation, which I think this is all people should do. If you tell people, hey, publishing is not as hard, here's what it takes, you show them the 100 steps that exciting to you, but to them it's not exciting. They're still willing to pay you whether they know the 100 steps. The idea is once we offer a service, if we offer it because people want a service rather than do it themselves, then we put ourselves in an ideal place. But yes, I love sharing. I love showing people that this is like a journey. And I love showing people specifically that not everyone is succeeding, because that's all that can be. I'm one of the groups where I share more information on what's going on more than I share about who's succeeding, because the success is attractive, it's appealing, it's sexy, but most of us are going to face a lot of those battles, and I can't help you with showing you success. I can only help you um, with showing you the reality of it. If I showed the success, I probably would sell more, but I want people who are going to succeed, where I have stories of like three, four, five people that we worked with last year. One is hitting the $1 million mark. Some are halfway through that mark, and like they all genuinely appreciate what I've done for them.
Which is amazing. And I have actually been to his warehouse in Southwest Florida, all the books, and seen the shipping center. And, it's very exciting to see that someone who has taken control of their own process to collect the information and the sale, nurture the lead, resell to that same customer, create a lot of automated systems, and have all of that in place so that you're really owning your business. And that's really what I think is so powerful about it, is that you by set all the books that you've sold, like I won't hold you to the exact number, but give me like a ballpark combined across all your books. And Alex has been writing for a number of years, and he has how many titles at this point? Do you
We
know?
counted 16, two unpublished ones, and somehow I got to 16 without knowing.
Okay, so and how many books total about have you sold?
It's well past a 500,000 mark. I don't know where it stands. Last time I checked it, I knew one book had crossed a 300, closer to 400,000 mark. So the other ones, I'm unsure, but I know it's more. We've sold way more than 500,000 books. Yes.
Insanely impressive. And so I always think that if you're looking for someone to coach you, look at the results they've already produced for themselves. It's sort of like you wouldn't go to the gym and hire an overweight personal trainer because you'd be like, well, what are you doing? You know, like
Hmm.
I don't really want the results that you're showing. So I'm not going to sign up with you. Right. And I'm not being discriminatory. I'm just saying that
Yes.
it's important to look for somebody who has already done the thing that you would like to do, rather than somebody who says, well, I don't do that actual thing, but I coach people to do that thing.
Yes. So it's
Right.
it's it's good on the internet because it takes the accountability off you. And all we've been doing is taking more accountability. And that's why we started from like, whoa, we'll teach you. Then they're like, no, we need help. Okay, well, we're gonna help you. Oh no, we need you to build it for us. Okay, we'll build it for you. So kind of we're in the trenches. It's one of those, let's say if we're talking about fitness, we're a fitness trainer that's actively training. So it's not that we're saying, oh, you're sore, just put some ice on it. It's like, no, I'm sore. I am sore and I had to do this and I've done that. And this may work for you. And that's
My
approach we take.
picture from 1995 when I was fit, right?
Yeah. You use that and say,
You're like, what happened between then and now?
yeah, I think I'm in the business of helping people. I love helping people. And that's why when we talk about building a book business, we spend a lot of time on mindset because I know what authors have to go through. There's phases that they need to execute to get to this point, and that's where we take our time to approach it that way. But our main goal is to really teach you how to build a book business where it's reliable. Last year we spent proving some time that, proving that it's duplicatable. And the more and more going into next year, we want to help more authors. Maybe authors like, that are listening right now is that we want to help more authors take control. Because what is interesting is I was at a conference last week and that was all they were talking about, which I call it direct sales. And the whole idea is take control of your business. Where fiction authors looking at it, poets, nonfiction, everyone is starting to see we cannot be at the mercy of the social media platform longer. We cannot just wait on Amazon, especially Amazon is banning accounts or different things happening. So I think it was a great switch that it was another thing that I was early in. And I think it's good that now to come back and said, after us making millions and we've made countless expensive mistakes, I can use that and teach you how to not make those mistakes rather than teach you like sell your dream. I would rather show you the hard part so now you can be far more successful than I am, which also reflect on the services that we provide.
I love that. Well, and I always think that fitness is a simple example to draw parallel to, because if a fitness trainer sells you, this, like, you aren't going to have to work that hard. You only need to show up like 3 days a week. You don't need to change your diet too much. Don't worry.
Hmm.
And you're going to be disappointed when you don't get the results. But it's because you weren't told the truth that no, it is going to be hard work and you are going to have to change what you're eating and you are going to have to show up every day. And there are going to be days that you're sore, like you said. And so with building a book business, just like building any business, there is to me that reality of like, it's not going to be easy, but it's going to be worth
Absolutely.
it.
That is just the reality of it.
So for you, when you're working with a new author, what are some of the first things that they need to, as far as mindset goes, think about to kind of get on board with understanding the system and how it works? Let's take a new author. We work with a lot of new authors who maybe they only have one book or maybe two books. Are those people that you can work with? Or are you someone who you need them to have a library of books to be able to make your system work?
So we've always since we started this, we've always looked at people who have more than one book in terms of how you need to build it because it's the idea of in the book I describe it like the McDonald's concept, where you do not go there just for burgers, you get fries and a drink. Those are become automatic, but and then you can get the Sunday and everything else. We don't need people to have a lot of books, but if you have one or two, it makes sense. Instead of us sticking to three, we've realized that there's people who pair up their books with something that just makes sense. We have someone right now, someone who have a nice self-help book, and they have a poetry book and a journal. Those three make a perfect combination where it becomes a three, where the journal added the second layer, I mean the third layer. And those people, maybe it's a workbook, or because there's a book that I'm selling right now. It's a book, it has an affirmation journal and it has a regular journal. So those three ended up become the ideal thing. So you have to find something that makes the fries and the drink make sense. Because once you're eating a burger, you're going to be thirsty and you want something else to snack instead of tasting the same beef all the time. So that's what we want to help authors with, in terms of like the mindset they need to have. So one of the big thing in the author community, they do not understand marketing, but firstly, they do not understand a lot of the business sense. I think the idea of a book, because writing, becoming an author is definitely one of those things where it's not the easiest thing, but it's the simplest business you could start. You just write a book and you put it out and you're like, okay, I own a business. So because it's that simple, most people don't see it as a business. They're like, I spent like a few hundred or a few thousands or whatever amount to create this book. So now I'm good. And now what do I do? And versus anyone starting like a restaurant, you need a business plan. You're starting like a real estate business. You need way more than what it takes to be an author. You need your licenses and so forth. So when it comes to mindset, the first thing we try to teach them is the business aspect, is understanding when you're acquiring the customers online, this is actually has a long-term effect, because if you have more for those customers long term, the more people know you, the more exposure, the better you are, the more you can keep a relationship with those people, the better your business is going to be off long term. And the other part is that marketing is not a scam. Marketing is part of every business plan. And the idea, because someone said this, Joanna Penn, which is a popular podcaster, and she's been in the industry for 10 years, I mean, 20 years, and she's brilliant. And she said to me one time in our accelerator call, she said, one of the things with the book industry is that it's the only industry people pay you first before you release the product. And if you think about it, for years and decades, that authors were paying in advance, and they finish the book and they launch it out there. And if you were successful, you just pitch it to a publishing company, or if you are lucky, you pitch it to a publishing company. They take it and they make it big. So authors always come with the mindset that we don't have to do anything, because it's been that way. Versus now, I'm saying, no, you have to do something. You will lose a little bit of money depending on where you're at. It will take time, but you are building a real business, and real business operate off income, not just passion. Passion is a part of it, but you have to have kind of like a business plan, a strategy to get there. Once we get the business idea into their mind, then it's the marketing piece of understanding what constant exposure look like. Losing money doesn't necessarily mean losing money, because you're gaining attention or you're trading it for something. So, and also funnel, understanding the transaction is not the first step. It's actually just an introduction, and there's more work on the back end, and most money are made in on the back end. Sorry. So once we get them to understand that, then the process is easy. But until you get them through that phase where, hey, you may have lost $100 today, but you gained like two customers. Eventually, it gets easier to get more customers. The more you get exposure and people recognize you, or the more the machine learn when it comes to Facebook. So that's kind of the mindset we try to we have to teach it, which is what we had a hard stop when it comes to, hey, anyone who wants to work with us or wants to talk to me whatsoever, I say, hey, read the book first, because then once you understand what kind of mindset it takes, you operate differently.
Yeah, I love that. It is interesting to think of it that way. And I hadn't thought of it that way before, but I know it's like attention is the new economy. I've heard that multiple times before. But that when you are spending marketing dollars, and maybe you're not initially making sale, but you're getting in front of people, you're getting attention, you are paying for the opportunity to be in front of people. And I know that the sales cycle, generally it's like 7 touches before somebody will purchase from you. And so there is part of that, which I hadn't thought of it that way, but from being in the accelerator, one of the key things I learned from you that I thought was so good is, someone could buy, for example, 1 book, but once they're your customer and they're in your database, what other things can you sell them? What's the lifetime value of a customer? Oh, you had posted in the group recently that you had someone who just bought like $600 or something in books.
Yes.
Like there were some and that was because you have done such a good job of structuring your store so that it's not just 1 book and then the person goes away. Like if someone buys a book on Amazon, you don't ever know who that person is. So you can never find them. You don't get to nurture it, and you make less money per sale than you do if you're doing direct selling. So what would you say would be some of the first steps that an author who's thinking about, this is really interesting, I've never thought of this before, where would you recommend they get their information? Like you were saying, it's good to look through people's proof of concept or whatever. And I'm vouching for Alex right now, but you don't have to believe me. He's got plenty of other people who will do the same. What would you recommend?
So before I answer that, I would actually like to comment on the idea of finding a way to get more out of the business. Um, when you look at just normal business, a lot of the time when people are launching a business, it's probably a startup. They have to raise money, or they take bank loans, they take everything. The reason they do that is because they know when it comes to becoming profitable, it takes some time, and we need some kind of breathing room to make it happen. What authors are, our industry is that we need to make money as quick as possible, spending less money as possible. So what ends up happening is that they start with the idea that if I spend $1, I need that dollar right back. Versus of looking long term, that if I spend $1, this lady can potentially come back and spend $600. So they don't spend the time prepping themselves to make that happen. They spend way more time trying to capitalize off one sale, so then the bank account look good. But then long term, they do not look for capital, they do not look for business plan, the funding, or none of that, which ultimately helped because we had a credit line in 2020 that made it so possible to scale and really figure out everything, the infrastructure whatsoever. So if I would have operated like authors, and a lot of mom and pop shop operate like that, and they fail, is that they're trying to live on the dollar almost every time, and they cannot even see long term because it's tough right now. And once authors go out of that, they will recognize that. As far as
That's great advice, by the way. And I will say, it's so funny. This morning, I go to Toastmasters every week, which is like a public speaking group. It's fun. I love this group of people in Naples. And right across the parking lot is the library. So I thought, I'm going to stop in the library. I haven't been in there in a while. I brought my laptop. I thought, I'm going to work there for a little bit. Just ended up, it was like there was too many people, whatever. But the Friends of Collier County Library were there, and I ended up talking to this lady who I previously emailed, and they have a big author fair this weekend down at the South Library in Collier County. And the problem she's expressed to me is that they can have 50 authors who are raising their hands for a free table to sell their books at this event, but it's getting the public there. And I talked to her last year, and I said, you really need the authors to understand that their job is to get people there. It's not just to set up a table and stand behind it and hope that magically the public is going to walk in. So I think that's, in a very small way, what you're saying. I mean, the internet is the same thing. It's just a bigger, more invisible place. But if you're standing there with your author table and just waiting for people to show up, it's never going to happen. You have to come see you. Like, hey, I'm going to be at the author fair this weekend. Hey, I'm going to be there. Hey, come see me. And that's what ads do in the digital space, right?
correct.
be disappointed, like, well, I have my website and I wrote my book, now where's all the people?
That's it. They're just expecting the people to just come. Most people just think, imagine you opening a restaurant and just sitting there and like, I'm not gonna do any marketing whatsoever. I'm just gonna hope people find me. And that's a bad business model.
Yeah, you know, it's
So
funny, our favorite pizza place in Naples, they just moved locations. They used to be down by the Naples City Dock, and now they're like up off 41. And the plaza, like the parking lot is really dark at night. Their sign is not lit up. And every time we're in there, there's like not a lot of people in there. And there used to be a lot of people down at their other location. I'm like, I hope they make it here. And I was like, gosh, you know, even if they just got like a big stake in the ground with the flag that says pizza, like right on 41, you know, at least people would know there's a pizza place in there.
yeah,
You
yeah.
know, and it's so silly, but it's like those really simple things. It's not that they don't have good pizza, they have great pizza. We love it. But I feel like they don't really know how to market. And you're right, like any business, no matter what business, marketing is going to either make you successful or sink your ship if you don't do it.
I agree 100%. Um, but when it comes to finding us, I know in the group we have a lot. I do tell people if you grab the book, it's the easiest way to get access to all of this um and see what is going on. But because I try to keep a lot of it private because again, it's a lot of information to share. It's a lot of money to talk about that sometimes I try to keep it as personal as possible. But on the sevenfigurebookbusiness.com/book page, you will actually see some of the reviews. And some of these people, we recommend that they contact some of our authors. We have an author we'll work with, and he's doing extremely well now. But one of the first things he asked me is, where can I find information? I'm like, contact these authors. Here's their information. We have Morgan, which is one of my main authors. Her Instagram is at Modern Morgan, and we say go ask her question. Go ask Joseph Nguyen some question. Ask the people that you see are on the page and see what's their experience because I have nothing to hide, so I'm always like, here it is. Go ask them, they'll tell you, and they make the best customers because. I had someone stop me at the conference and was like, I need to work with you in your business because everyone I've talked about said great things about you. And I'm like, okay, so now that made it so much easier than me trying to convince you I'm that guy. I know my stuff. No, I want to do good work and then people then let other people talk about it. So then I get qualified customers or qualified authors that we can help because they come with an understanding of what they're getting themselves into and who they're working
What they're getting themselves into.
with.
That's a good way to put it. Well, and I would say, in the landscape of authors that we work with, one of the things that we clarify up front is like, what's your goal for the book? Is the goal that you just had an amazing life and you want that legacy book and it's not a business for you, it's something that you want for your kids and your grandkids, then this isn't the right system for you because you're not looking to start a business. Maybe you're not at the point in life where you want to do that but for someone who is investing in themselves and in their business and they want their message to be heard wider, they want to reach more people, maybe they want to do more even I'd say public speaking and doing all of those things that as you sell more books and increase your influence, more and more opportunities come to you. So I think
Mhm.
that's a side benefit too, as well. That when you're doing that well in your book business, more people know about you.
Yes. Yes, I agree.
So what's been your most surprising success with your book business? Do you have any like thing that stood out that you were like, there was a day when you figured something out that had been a challenge for so long, or a super successful like sale you ran, um, or is it
One
just
has
like,
been One has been the idea of a funnel, to be honest. When I first started, I could tell you the first year we weren't necessarily as profitable because we only knew how to sell one book, and we didn't know how to come back and sell more people where they spend the $600. When we first started, it was like put the book up there. This is ideal. Like a lot of people, it's like when I tell people about this, they're like, "Oh, I already have an author's website. Oh, I could figure out Shopify," and they go and launch it. But over the years, with us scaling really quickly and then finding all the holes in the business, we realized that, you know, coming when people come in, making sure you show them an upsell, making sure you show them on cross sell, making sure you show them a post purchase upsell, and then making sure you have the follow up email. Once you have that funnel set up, the most exciting part is seeing how well it can work. Like, wow, someone really spent 400. We have like a good amount of people who spent the lifetime value on that website, which is 129 bucks. Then seeing people buying big bundle because they've been marketed to, but they're like, you know what, I never bought anything. Now it's the time. I've seen them enough times, so now I'm ready to spend $150. And you're like, oh my God, I never thought people would spend $150 on books. So that's been the journey, the most successful thing for my personal business. And outside of that is really duplicating this, seeing like how this is working in other people's business is really exciting. So like, Morgan, for example, early this year we said, hey, we're gonna make a goal of you to reach $1 million. You can't just say that to in business, but we know the infrastructure, and that this is where it's like how sure you are of this. So we're like, hey, we're going to make it. And by the end of October, she was already at like 950. And we're like, we know this works. So like you have 2 more months to get the last 50,000. I think we can pass it. So it's understanding this is the beauty of it is I've built something that not only work for myself, but we've seen it work for multiple authors because she's not the only seven-figure author. And in that process is understanding how we actually build it so anyone else do not make the errors that I've made. And those are the two things that I'm the most proud of. Those what me figuring out how to actually get people to buy more and me figuring out how to duplicate the system.
Okay, I love it. Well, if you're an author listening to this right now and you are befuddled about your own marketing, if you know you have a great book, which I will say as a caveat, you have to have a good book for this to work. But
Correct.
I say that if you have a good book and you have a passion for what you do, and you know more people need to know about you and your book and all of that, I absolutely recommend you reach out to Alex. His website, Jeanty Digital, is JEANTY digital.com. And you can read all about his book marketing system. Be sure to get his 7-figure book business blueprint book, read through it, make sure that you feel as though you're fit to work with him, because it's like you don't get in a car with someone who's, driving a Ferrari and ask them to slow down. You buckle your seatbelt and you turn the radio up and you have a good time.
That's a good one.
So I will say, if you like Ferraris and you want to drive with someone who knows, this is really what the system is. It will take you from, the slow road to nowhere to the fast road to author success. And I've seen it. I've watched him do it, not only with his books, but with so many that he's worked with. And he's really just a genuinely good, all around good guy. So thank you for being part of the podcast today. I really appreciate your time. And I look forward to working with you again soon, and our authors to work with you, and to seeing, maybe one of our authors can be your next 7-figure.
Ooh. Well, I would love it. And thank you for having me. It's a pleasure. And I can't wait to help some of your authors.
Well, we are on it. So thank you all. Have an amazing day, and be sure to find him at jantydigital.com and to get the book at 7figurebookbusiness.com/book. Have a great day. So this has been another episode of the iBook Podcast. I'm April O'Leary signing off. Be sure to hop on over to o'learypublishing.com to start your author adventure and see what writing a book could do for you in your profession, in your career, and what doors it might open. We thank our guests for being a part of the show today, and be sure to subscribe to podcasts here on YouTube. We look forward to serving you and helping you get your book out into the world.